Hello and welcome back to another episode of Kerbol Konquest. In this episode of Kerbol Konquest, we will be sending a rover to Eve, and this is what this rocket is. It's based off of the Ariane 5, very loosely based off of it. I basically just used the fuel tank textures for it because the new update came out and it's like cool and stuff. So I used the new textures. Differences include the first stage engine for this rocket is like wrong because I hate the skipper engine, and I think that's the one that's supposed to look like the Ariane 5 engine, which I forget the name of because I've never knew the name, so I don't forget the name. I just don't know its name. Yeah, that would be more accurate. Also, as you can probably tell already, there's a 3.75 meter adapter on the second stage because this payload was too big for a normally sized Ariane 5, so it's really nothing like an Ariane 5. But the rover is cool. I specifically designed it to be capable of being invincible to almost everything because it's covered in structural panels which have an impact tolerance of 80 meters per second, and this rover has a top speed of 25 meters per second. So it's never going to exceed that speed. And on top of that, it's got a fly-by-wire avionics thingy so that it can hold stability. It's got a ton of reaction wheels that are set to SAS only, and it's got a junior docking port so that it can hold radial out and just never flip over. And I never had to load a quick save with this rover. Oh, and I opened the cheats menu to see if there was an option to turn up ambient light, because I heard a rumor that there was going to be an option to turn up ambient light in the newest update, but that didn't happen, so I was sad. If the footage looks kind of weird, that's because I had to turn up the lighting in post-production, and that makes things look kind of weird. But it's better than just staring at a black screen. So the rover is descending here. I know it's like kind of slow, but the video editor that I'm using can't go faster than 16 times speed. So this is 16 times speed, and I didn't use physical time warp during this entire descent because that caused the rover to die. Well, not exactly die. Well, yes, exactly die. It would like accelerate through the surface of Eve and just like blow up randomly, which was kind of annoying. The wheels that I'm using on this rover are the Making History DLC wheels because they're my favorite rover wheels. They look the coolest and they can fold up, which is nice, I guess. And then they've also got another texture that looks better than the orange one. I'm just too lazy to change the textures of my parts most of the time, and I don't really care about the look of my things that I make in Kerbal Space Program, which is why this rover has all those cubic octagonal struts sticking out of it. And now, moving on to launch number 2 of today, I didn't want to show you like over an hour of me just driving around in a rover, which is why I just cut to this other rocket. It's based off of that thingy that Matt Lown made, the plane that he landed on the Mun that was like a recreation of a Air Force concept moonlander. I forget what the name of that was, but I thought it was cool, so I made it. And it's kind of weird, but this is inspired by a fiction off of a Kerbal Space Program build that was inspired by a concept of a rocket. So I'm inspired by the inspiration instead of the actual thing, it's weird. The plane itself, it has way too many wings, because wings are for losers. Wait, that would make me a loser. Oh well, I already knew that. So, gliders don't really need that much lift because all they have to do is land It makes it harder to land, and I added more wings because I don't like flying things that don't have a lot of wings, because it's hard to land, and I don't like making things harder for myself. The reason why the plane was enclosed in like the center of a couple Bohr engines was because lift. If your center of lift is ahead of your center of mass, your rocket becomes unstable. And if you put the plane on top of a rocket, like on the very top of the rocket, then your center of lift is very far ahead of your center of mass, and it's super unstable. That's why the space shuttle was attached to the side of the orange tank in like real life. And I didn't have time to make a properly balanced space shuttle, which is why I had bores on both sides of the plane, because that way it's more balanced. Landing on the moon. Well, the main reason why I built this plane actually, was first because it makes sense because you get to reuse more of the spacecraft, which makes you save money. But the actual reason was because of the new magnometer. I think it's called the magnometer, but that sounds stupid. It's the new boom thingy that you can like extend and get science using. I haven't got any science from the MUN with that thing. And then also I wanted to do deployed science, which I don't know how to use deployed science correctly, because apparently this didn't have a ComNet connection. Well, it did. It just wouldn't send the science back after I did this mission. I don't know why. I think I did everything correctly. It said that everything was connected, everything was powered. So why? Confusion? Because, like, previously in this Kerbol Konquest series, I sent, the thingy, a ship to Gilly, and it had deployed science, and that deployed science wasn't connected to the ComNet. And I understand that, because I didn't have the communications disk thingy yet. The deployable communications disk. But this, it had the deployable communications disk, and it didn't need it. But it still didn't send the science back. And is there something that I'm doing wrong? I don't think so. I think I did everything right. Because I've done this before with, like, the same setup, and it worked. You can see the magnometer boom, like, on screen. Well, you could, but it was, like, that like, thingy that extended out. And look, it's re-entry time. Cool. I'm doing lots of spins because the Mark 1 cockpit has terrible re-entry tolerance? Yeah, terrible heat tolerance. There we go. You can see it's, like, super toasty, even though, like, nothing else has any glowing or or temperature gauges. There we go. That's what they're called. And now I spin it like a rotisserie so that it heats everything evenly. So it takes longer for one part to exceed its max temperature limits and stuff. That's why it's the same reason why, like, rotisserie chicken, it spins so that you heat all sides evenly, so that you don't get one side that just burnt. And now is another time where I boosted the brightness of the plane, because, again, I didn't want you to just be staring at a black screen. And then the reason why I don't have the brightness boosted whenever the flames appear is because flames, if you have brightness boostedness with flames, the flames are already super bright, so then you get something that's, like, so bright you can't even look at it. And I know it's still pretty dark on the screen, even though now there is brightness boosting. But if I boosted it any more, then, like, the nav ball would be way too bright, and it would just, like, look terrible. And there we go. Beautiful textbook landing, and, like, do the like, share, subscribe thingy that you're supposed to do. Bye.